Tell me about the TED Talks a bit. I understand that you have some. You've been to a bunch of that. You've been to a bunch of those. What do you think about those?
Oh well, yeah. I've been going to the TED conferences for quite a while, and actually I spoke there last year, and I'm speaking there again this year.
What did you talk about?
I spoke about speaking. I did a 90-minute presentation to it's pre-conference. They have a bunch of sessions before the conference actually starts. So I got 90 minutes. Bill Gates got 18. I am obviously more entertaining than Bill. The interesting thing about the TED Talks is that they've become a cultural phenomenon, which I think reflects the fact that people are actually genuinely curious. And this is, again, going back to, people said, we want to do a conference like a TED Talk. So they emulate the format. What they're forgetting is that actually the format isn't what makes TED interesting. The format is that they have interesting people who talk about things that are interesting.
Right. It's not the fact that they're 20 minutes long or that.
No, it's not that they could be 20 minutes long, they could be 40 minutes long, they could be. But what it is they take somebody who talks about neuroscience or astrophysics, who are genuinely, passionately engaged in doing something that's incredible. And that's what inspires people. Like you go, all these people in the audience, these people are inspired by what they're hearing, because they're hearing about this wild stuff that people are doing. Somebody's growing eyes in their lab in New York, which is a little unusual. And that inspires them. So that's, again, it gets to the idea that it's not the format. It's that the people are hungry for content. And actually, people are much hungrier for content than a lot of conference organizers realize.
TED had the period of time when it existed as this sort of private, conference that was sort of this mythical thing that was hard to get into and stuff. But then they started showing all the videos online, and I wonder if you think that's like, to me it seems like, oh, those TED videos. Like, if you think about the public perception of the idea of like the lecture as a form, like it feels like, yeah, maybe the lecture, I don't even know the history. I assume there was some time when people actually went from town to town doing lectures, and then they stopped doing that. And then for some period of time, the lecture was not a popular form. But suddenly with TED, with the videos online, people are watching lectures, like, and does that change things for you? Like do you think that changes things that people are thinking about lectures differently because of TED, because of the popularity of TED online?
I think there's an increased awareness of the public intellectual, and that kind of talk is interesting. I started out as a promoter of lectures, and when I started out, they were all in the church basement. You get 50 people, and I went out and rented a 1,200-seat theater and said, I'm going to promote this like a rock concert. I thought about becoming a music promoter, actually, but then I found out they had guns, and I didn't want to have a gun. So I thought, lectures, they seem a little bit more reasonable, and not always.
But didn't you book Hunter S. Thompson?
I booked Hunter S. Thompson.
How do you do that without a gun? Don't you?
Well, that was pretty interesting. And actually, there were the entire tactical squad of the Toronto police was outside the theater the night, because they thought there were going to be riots. It's a very long story. But I also did a triple bill with Abby Hoffman, Timothy Leary, and Eldridge Cleaver, which was a pretty wild night. And it was fun, but again, people were just engaged by the ideas. What I found too is that people just talked about what was going on, and so they were the mini TED Talks of the time. And I would get 1,700 people out to these events. I would have people actually protesting that I was discriminating against people without tickets. I thought was unusual.